Hello everybody, this is Todd Frazee and this is the video tutorial for the 7319 Rev 0 cam. You should be able to import a SOLIDWORKS model as shown, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rename it because the naming convention doesn't match what we're doing in the cam class. So we're going to go REV underscore rev underscore first initial last name. Most of our work is going to be facing the top of this. So this imported with the front facing what I would call the bottom. So that's the home position. So we're going to rotate this so that we're looking at it like such. And then we're going to go up to home, right click on that, and we're going to set current view as home to fit view. And that now when we return to home, we can return to this position here where we can see the majority of the features we're making. Okay, so this is very similar to the 7315. It has more features on it, but our approach is going to be similar. You do need to have finished the 7315 programming before you start working on this project. We're going to be copying some of the toolpath, a fairly involved part, so we'll be able to recycle most of what we did on the 7315 part, but then we will have to do a bunch of editing and additions. On this one, I was careful to label each one of my operations to match a handout that will be ready to download. It is 60 pages. So that 60-page document has almost every field, pretty much every field I could, parameters filled out. So best practice, probably name your operations the same way I'm doing it. That way you don't get lost. This is a fairly involved part and the longest one you'll have done to date. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is first set this up with our vise setup and our stock, just like we did on the other one. So the 7339 should be the stock for this project. So you're going to find that file that you used in one of your previous projects, and we're going to bring that into our model space. Okay, and it includes the stock and the vise. Okay, we don't need the vise, so we're going to just go ahead and hide that, expand the model, hide the vise, and then we're going to orientate this dovetail as if it's facing down. Okay, so we need to rotate 90 degrees in one axis and then 90 degrees in this axis, and we'll have the rough location of our stock. We're hit OK. Now, if anything comes in, like this is got a little anchor on it, that means ground to parent. You need to right click on that and unground from parent. Now we're going to take a look at how we're going to assemble this together. So what we want, just like on the other one, we want this face and this face. We want it embedded so that we're skimming a little bit of material off on the top here. 40 to 60,000, somewhere in that range. So let's do a little inspection. We're going to measure the thickness of this part. And our part is 905 thousandths thick. Okay, and our material inch 180. So get our handy dandy calculator out. 1.18 is our stock minus our finish size, which is 0.905. That gives us a 275 thousandths difference. If we want to leave some material on the top to be removed, we're going to subtract, let's put 60. That means we need to shift our piece. If we align the bottoms, we need to shift it by 215 thousandths. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to joint, We're going to do width, pick both sides of our stock, and then we're going to select point at the top center. Then we're going to go to our second item. We're going to also pick width. And we're going to hover over the top surface, and we want the target to be on this orange plane. And as you see, it's just breaking the top. Okay, and it should be centered. Okay, and we're going to offset by 0.04, 40 thousandths. And we can see that the part's now enveloped in the stock. Hit OK. And if we want to, we can select the body of our model, and we can see where the stock falls inside. And the goal is to have enough material we skim off this top, but then we've got as much material as we can reasonably with the dovetail. We need to set up our fixturing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to our 5-axis vise, and we need to bring that in. And the configuration we're going to bring in is the TRT 100, and even though you might run this on the UMC 750, the actual vise is the same, but the clearance issues are more prominent on the TRT, so we will use that one and assume we have good clearance. Alright, so we need to orientate this fixture, the 5-axis fixture, in the same orientation as our part. Okay, about there should be good. We're going to hit OK. Alright, now we're going to do a joint between this and our TRT. Make sure it doesn't have an anchor symbol and isn't grounded. We're going to joint. We're going to do width. We're going to pick either side of the stock body. We're going to select an origin point that's on center of the dovetail. And then we're going to select also by width. We're going to pick the large faces on the gold part of the vise, and then we're going to pick on this point. Needs to be in the same orientation as on our part. So that should bring our part into alignment with the vise. And we're going to hit OK. Or fixture alignment with the part, I should say. And now we need to close the vise jaws. And in order to see the numbers, you actually have to look at it kind of from the home position, because for some reason they have to be selected from this side of the part. So I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to look at it in the left view so I can see what's going on here. Okay, so mine worked out to be 1.37. Yours might not be the same exact size if you didn't model your dovetail the same size as I did. It's not super critical. This is for collision detection modeling. Okay, I'm going to accept that. And go back to the home position so I can select the other number, which should be the same value but positive. And double check that it's all lined up. Okay, so we have the 5-axis all set up. This part's ready to go into the manufacture mode, but let's go ahead and set up our traditional vise for the second operation. So we're going to hide TRT, and temporarily we're going to hide the stock body because it's not really much of it left. And if you recall on the other part, we're going to set this up pretty much the same way, and we need a theoretical point that aligns with where we're going to line this up before we start. So without further ado, we're going to go and we're going to make a sketch, and we're going to make the sketch on We're going to capture the position. We're going to make the sketch on the face of the part. And we need to create a line. And it needs to be horizontal. We're going to take that line, hold the shift key down, and highlight the edge of the part and the line. And we're going to constrain it collinear to the edge. Okay, you're going to hit escape to get out of that command. We're going to take the endpoint and we're going to make it coincident to this edge of the part. We're then going to take the other endpoint and make it hit the midpoint of the edge just to constrain it. And then we're going to left click on the line, right click on the line, and turn it into construction. We're going to hit finish sketch. And that point we will be able to select on when we're setting up our origin and for assembling on the vise. Okay, so now let's bring in our Sierra College generic vise. And we're going to 1 5/8 parallels again. Okay, our vise comes in. We're going to set it up again with this L shape hanging off the left side of the vise. Okay, rough position it, hit OK. Now we're going to go to assembly, we're going to do joint. And we're going to select on our parallel this edge here, corner. And then on our model, we're going to select the point we created. Those will come together. Now we can't load it this way because this L shape needs to hang off the edge of the vise. So we're going to move our model by 0.6. That way the piece sticks off the end of the vise. And you'll have to set up your origin on this with a 1, 2, 3 block with a stop that's going to touch the surface. We'll hit OK. Now we just need to close the vise the width of our part. So if we inspect our part from this plane to the opposite, it is 1 7/8. Okay, we're ready to go to the machining package now. Let's go to manufacture. We do not want to bring in the data from the stock we machine on the 7339 part. So hit cancel. We'll look at our part in the home position. Let's expand our models and hide the vise and show the TRT 100. And for now we are going to show our stock. Okay, at this point I'm going to close my data panel, and in our sketches we're going to go ahead and make this sketch with the dot invisible for the moment. Okay, so like I mentioned, a lot of the toolpath we did on the 7315 Rev 0 part can be applied to this part because it's very similar. So let's go open our data panel that I just told you to close, and we're going to go and find your 7315 model wherever you've saved it, and we're going to open it. Okay, you want to be in the manufacture tab, and we're going to highlight the entire setup. We're going to right click on it, and we're going to copy, and we're going to go to the 7319. We're going to highlight setups, we're going to right click, we're going to hit paste. Now if we expand the setups, we should have it, and it's got a big warning because all of this stuff is tied to a different model. Okay, we're going to go back to the 7315, and we're going to copy the second operation. And it's going to have errors as well. Okay, before we do anything else, what we want to do is we want to fix the setups. We do not want to run the wrong part. So let's highlight operation 1. You're going to right click on it and hit edit. The setup tab. And all of this stuff is not related to this model. So let's hide our data panel. And first we're going to select our x-axis by picking the top of the part. So that orientates Z in the correct orientation. And our x-axis is going to be, I didn't want to pick a face, is this edge here. Now my x-axis spun to the wrong direction, so we're going to flip it, and it should be pointing towards the base of the 5-axis rotary. Now we're going to go and set our origin, and it can be set by a stock box point, and we're going to pick on, and we haven't defined what our stock is yet or our model. So what we want to do is pick select model, and we're going to expand our model space, and we want the model itself for the finished part is a 7319. We're going to select that body. Then we're going to go to the stock tab, and we just select the body of the 7339, which is the stock. And now it snaps to a box point, and we'll go back to the setup tab, and if you needed to change the location, now you can. So it looks like it's where I want it. That is now fixed. Now we want to go to the Post Processes tab, and we want to make sure we're updating this correctly. So this is going to be 7391 is our program number because it's a different part. Everything else can be left at the same. We're offsetting, we're outputting for operation 1, which is 5-axis, and we're using work coordinate system 2, which is G55 for this operation. Let's hit OK. Now let's check the notes. What did the notes say? Vice clamping, pressure, 60 Newton meters, that's fine. You know, you could put your origin, whatever notes you need there for setup. So that took care of the setup for op 1. It's now fixed. All the toolpath underneath is not. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the same thing for op 2. So we need to make the TRT invisible. We need to make the vice visible. And we're going to look at it at a 3/4 view. This looks about right. We're going to highlight this setup 2 and pick the radio button on it. Right click, and we're going to go edit. And we're going to reselect our origin, which is the z-axis is normal to this face. This edge is x-axis. Looks like I have to flip it. And then we need to make that sketch that we created with the point on it visible so that we can select that point as our origin point. So again, this is the top of the parallels, edge of the machined finished part. Okay, we need to select our model, which is the 7319 body 1. We're going to go to stock. We could use previous, that's fine. And then on our G code, we need to change this to the 7319 op 2. And we're going to use work coordinate system 1 because it's G54 and a traditional vice. Hit OK. Let's double check these notes. The price says the same thing. Looks like we added parallel height and origin location, which is good. On this particular thing, now that we've set the stock, we can make the 7339 invisible. After we make the sketch invisible, we're going to make the TRT visible and make the vice invisible again. Now we can collapse this down. We're going to go to a home view,